Sparking Zero is pretty much a spiritual successor to the over 20 years old Sparking franchise on the PlayStation. It does a few things differently, some better, some worse. So let's take a look. First of all, I'll just talk about the visuals for a few seconds. It looks damn good. As you could have seen in the intro, it's like you're taking part in a 3D anime. Now, let's talk about the gameplay. Offline and online, when it works good, feels so good to play. It plays very close to Tenkaichi 3, but when it comes to comparing 30 FPS of the old games and 60 FPS of Sparking Zero, it's just so fluid and fun to look at and play. You literally get to cosplay as some of your favorite characters, use their moves, and even taunt as most of them. It can really be a blast. But if you're not a fan of fighting games or arena fighters, this game probably isn't for you. The skill ceiling is decently high, with quite a few mechanics and various possible approaches to each battle. Now, I mentioned if it works good online, and that online offers a competitive ranked mode, and it is what's played the most. The problem comes from the fact that the game engine performance is tied to your FPS, and you can, at least on PC, play online even with, let's say, 30 FPS, or even worse, variable FPS. So, let's say your opponent has 30 FPS and you have 60. Both of your games will now run at 50% speed, meaning 30 FPS, as in slow motion, to accommodate the lower FPS player. Also, the game is peer-to-peer, so if one of you has a bad internet connection, you're probably not going to have a good time. Some people, at least on PC, exploit both of these factors in order to win games. The game does not have crossplay, so the platform you get it for is your player base. Apparently it's the worst on Xbox, the least amount of players, a bit better on PC, and the best on PS5. It also released on the Switch 1 and 2, but I'm not sure about their numbers. If you only enjoy and care about single player, there's nothing to worry about. With a good enough PC, the game will run perfectly offline. Then again, when it comes to the single player content and the so-called story, you get to play as a few of the main cast of Dragon Ball and play through some of their iconic anime or manga encounters. Unfortunately, the content there is somewhat short, and after one playthrough you've seen what there is to see. A positive is that there are some bonus alternative timelines added, and you can unlock them by fulfilling certain conditions during your battles. There's less than a dozen of such alternative timelines in total, but they do take a few battles to play through. As a negative, some characters don't even get their entire sagas explored. Poor Vegeta, which feels like rushed development, and there's been some talk about the game being forced early to coincide with Dragon Ball Daima. So, once you play through the story mode, you're, if you don't play online, unfortunately not left with much. Some game modes present in previous games are absent, and others have been nerfed for some reason. For example, the tournament used to be more configurable, as in it could last longer, have more rounds, and nowadays you can finish it in less time than it takes you to set it up. There are also custom battles, and you can make your own, but I've played through a few and I wasn't that big of a fan. Another big gripe people seem to have is lacking stages for battles. You get a few decent ones, but some iconic stages that were available in older games are missing. And if you end up playing online, people mostly play only one stage, as it is the biggest, cleanest, with least risk of jank. As in getting stuck, dropping your combos, etc. It is the most competitive stage. There's a decent character roster, over 200 characters, but to access them all, you do need to own all of the DLCs. With the base game you get over 150 characters though. and most of the characters from older series are present, while DLC characters come from newer series or movies. When it comes to audio, great. Classical voice acting across the board, and you get to choose whether you want the Japanese or English voices. But if you want those anime tracks, not full length though, you gotta buy the deluxe or premium edition of the game, and it ain't that cheap. One thing worth noting is that even though the game is lacking now, the publishers have said they are committed to adding more content next year. Most probably not free, of course, but it means they might also add single-player content. If you end up getting it on PC, however, you will have premium access to free additional content. Mods. Modders have added custom soundtracks, custom stages, custom characters, and even custom game mechanics. They've really done so much amazing work. All optional, of course. In my gameplay you can see some of these visual changes as well. You can even disable the HUD entirely, which you cannot do in the vanilla game. In conclusion, I think it's worth it for fans of Arena Fighters and Dragon Ball. If I were to rate it when it first released, no patches, no DLCs, I would probably rate it as 6.5 out of 10. As it is now, I would probably rate it to 7.5 out of 10. It's true nostalgia bait, it looks amazing and can also play amazingly fun. Thanks for watching, I would love to hear your opinions in the comments. See you in the next one.